Hey everyone, welcome to the MFM podcast. I'm Dan and I'm here with
Michele
and
Shav.
Yes, that's the three of us. That's our names. Okay, we're going to jump right into it today. Are we going to start with comments again?
Yeah.
I think we had, Michelle's told us that we had some interesting comments, so we thank you for commenting, and I'll cede the floor to the lady to my right.
Today's post that I posted was about if there's a difference between men and women as far as cheating, and Dan breaks it down and says that women cheat because of emotional reasons.
Yeah. Men
cheat because of physical. And
physical
he says,
and weakness.
And weakness. Yeah. The comments blew up. We have a full-blown fight going on in one of them.
Is it a hullabaloo or is it more fisticuffs? Or, what's the level of fighting going on here?
Steven said, "This is reductionist and infantile. This is not how adultery plays out in my experience." A bunch of people attacked him, and Fierce said, "It's a good thing no one asked you about your experience. This is the common experience for men when their girl cheats."
Well, I will say no one asked me for my opinion either, but I gave it. So
Tom Truther said about Steven, "Dude is a beta. Men just want loyalty. Women have been tricked into giving up their best things." I'm not exactly sure what that means, but
sounded deep. Steven
fought back and said, "It's not, but do keep pontificating on social media. It's really a good look."
Was he talking to him or me on that?
Talking to Fierce.
Okay,
and then Fierce fired back and said, "It is, but keep trying to be a white knight."
See, I thought he was saying telling me to keep pontificating, and I was going to say, honestly, I was thinking about not doing it anymore, but now that you told me to keep pontificating, I will continue.
I don't even know.
Well, my favorite comment came from Creative, and it says, "Remember, fellas, if he ain't wearing a backwards camo hat, he ain't worth listening to."
That's true. I mean, it's a good point. Yeah. It's cool.
And then a lot of people said it may be more prevalent in men, but there's absolutely a decent amount of women that can also have sex without an emotional connection.
I mean, I don't get, why do women try to argue for this? They don't want to be slores. They argue to be something they don't want to be. Any woman that does that is just not a high value woman. Like, I don't know who argues for that.
Unfortunately, I left my camo hat in the car, but I will bring it next week.
So I answered one of those comments with my video where I talk about how my study actually backs you up, because somebody commented and said, "He's got a point, but he's all wrong." Come on, bro. So I posted the video where I tell a study that backs everything you said up. Wow. And people said, "Oh, definitely. It took multiple dudes at once to fill my ex's void."
Oh, damn.
Women always have an excuse for themselves. Pathetic.
Ooh.
It's always because they weren't getting what they needed. Oh, and that their partner, by giving them the silent treatment, I'm just not gonna read that one.
Okay.
Doing something with Johnny from The Office.
Johnny from The Office.
We're all hurt people that think we aren't enough, so we just continue to hurt each other. Hurt people. We need to stop doing this to each other. Love and heal yourself. Evolve with love, said that comment.
Hey.
Was that rap? That sounds great. That sounds great. There should also be world peace.
Yeah.
Oh, Evolve with Love also said. He's absolutely correct, but all I'm saying is that even though men have the ability to savagely have sex with a random stranger, not just have sex, savagely do it, and never think about her again, we shouldn't do it when we have a girl. Oh, Evolve with Love is a man.
No, I actually agree. Like, I think one thing I didn't say in that take was that, like, I don't condone cheating, and I actually don't think men should do it. I was just saying that, when a man does do it, it's out of weakness, it's out of lust, and oftentimes right afterwards they regret it.
You are 100% spot on. There is countless studies that show that a small percentage of the men who cheat end up falling for the woman they cheat with and going and being with them, while a high percentage, over 50% of the women that cheat with a guy end up falling for that guy and ended up being with him, the guy that they cheat with long term. To back up what you said about
you said men don't fall.
They don't.
You said they do fall for the person they cheat with.
No.
What you meant to say was...
what I meant to say is men do not, is a small percentage, maybe like 10%, 5 to 10%.
I'm going to jump in on this one. Number one, I have agreed with what you guys said, that women, it is all emotional, and that is because they're missing something. Not necessarily that the dude is doing something wrong, but the woman, there's something they're missing, and they're not either asking for it or they're searching.
Or the dude is doing something wrong.
Yes. Yeah. But in my experience, because I have been hit on and stuff by men who were in relationships. I think the men that are in relationships where the female might have maybe changed a little bit and it's not as like fun and exciting, and maybe she's nagging, or like the reality of the relationship is there. Sometimes they do cheat to get attention and affection from women that they're not getting at home. Because sometimes like women will withhold affection because they're being naggy and whatever reasons women have. When they're doing that, men do seek out affection and attention. I don't think it's just physical.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that happens. You know, I think my thing was more of a generalization. But yeah, there's definitely men who like, they're not getting affection from their women, or
I just made myself sound like a mistress. I wasn't meaning that. I gave that attention and affection to these gentlemen.
You know what the quote is? The quote goes, "The problem with relationships is men meet a girl and expect them to stay the same, and they don't. Women meet a guy and expect them to change, want them to change, and they don't change."
Yeah.
And that's the
valid. That's valid.
That's the confrontation of expectations. Yeah.
But like we were on the last episode, we were talking about how every romantic comedy is about a player who shuts it down for that one girl.
Yeah.
And it's about a woman who is able to change a guy.
Yeah.
That's the fairy tale, is that you'll be able to change the guy, when in reality that usually doesn't happen. But
I think when you get to be older, like I've learned now that I'm in my 40s, I probably learned this like mid 30s, is that you don't want to change men. Like you want to learn how to love that person the way that they are. Do you know what I mean? Like I know there was guys that like, I'm like, oh, he's a player, especially in my 20s and early 30s.
I'm
like
gonna change him.
Yeah, because I tend to not be the type that's like obsessed with dudes and stuff, so they do tend to gravitate towards me when they get to know me. But you can never change them, no matter who you are, no matter if you're the chillest chick ever. A guy's going to be how he's going to be until he like the taxi cab theory, until he decides to change, right?
I just want to put in my little 2 cents as a Christian, from the Christian standpoint of trying to like date and find relationships. The problem is, especially if you meet somebody young, everybody changes. You're going to change, and you have to grow with somebody, and it's hard to do that. But God stays the same through eternity, and that's why the people that focus on Him and He is the number one, those are the relationships that are successful, because it's so hard for people to meet and then, you grow, and you grow whether you want to or not, and you change into different people. Yeah.
I have a good story about that, though. I think you guys remember I told you the story about the Christian guy I dated who wanted to wait till marriage and then slept with a 22-year-old Instagram model. I think I mentioned that. He had things that he wanted to work on. Like he was always a cheater. He was always out for just sex. He wanted things to be different with me because he was like, all right, I want her to be my wife, so we're going to do all the Christian workbooks. We're going to talk to the pastor. But even though he attempted to put God first and to be that man, it was still ultimately him who failed. And I never went into it thinking I could change him, but I was expecting change from him, because of promises.
What I'm saying is, like, even if you fall head over heels, men and women, if you meet when you're teenagers or you meet when you're in your 20s, whenever, you are going to be a different person when you're 40, when you're 50, than usually when you meet somebody. And that's why the only relationships I've ever seen be successful, the only marriages I've seen be successful, are the people that put God for. Literally, they put God over the other person, and it's their attempt to be loyal to God that causes the relationship to be successful, because it's not enough to be trying to be loyal to the other person.
Yep, I agree. The most successful relationships I see amongst my friend group are all like that.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. It always amazes me, people who are in their 60s, and were like my parents, for example. They're 76 and 77. They got married when they were in their early 20s, and like
my parents too.
I'm a different person now. Like I went through like a second puberty in my 20s and a third puberty in my 30s. Like I'm different at 37 than I was at 31. Like very different. That's why I think a lot of marriages don't make it, is because there is so much change every decade. You're changing so much. I think our parents' generation was like the last generation that really held on.
Nowadays it's more like for better or forget it. My parents are still together too. They've been together since they were like 15 years old.
And I mean, part of that is that like the internet has made us everything available, so many options. You can see what's out there. Like you're not, contained in a bubble like you once were. So, people, and then they see the other relationships that are perfect on the internet, and so if theirs isn't perfect, then they're just going to leave, so it's like, what is the divorce rate now, 50% or something,
like 58%,
and less people are having
and
kids,
then second marriages is like even higher.
So it's I have a few friends who are divorced. It makes me feel old just like that I have friends who are divorced,
but seriously, like friends that are on their second marriage. But I was gonna comment on what you said about you were dating a Christian man that was trying to put God first. Like some of the greatest Christian men of all time have like I remember that for me when I went and saw the biography of Martin Luther King. Was it called Selma, I believe?
Yes.
I actually didn't know that, and I remember I was dealing at a time with where I was kind of on the outs with a girl that I really cared about because I cheated. I'd made a mistake, and but I remember I went and watched Selma with one of my friends, and they talk about how he was having affairs on his wife, and I remember being like in the theater, and I asked him about, and I was like, of all the things, the dream speech, all these different powerful moments. I remember I walked out of the theater, and I'm looking at my boy, and I'm like, did Martin Luther King have affairs on his wife? He cheated on his wife, and he looks at me like, is that what you took from that movie? But I remember thinking. And Coretta Scott King stayed with Martin Luther King. She never remarried. She stayed with him. Martin Luther King's one of the greatest men that's ever lived. And I remember walking out of that like, Martin Luther King had affairs on his wife, and I'm sitting here feeling bad about cheating on my girlfriend. Get out of here, man.
Way to justify it, Shav.
That's one way to go.
Well, for me, it was like, because he wanted to wait till marriage with me, we weren't doing anything. We were like not doing anything at all. So it took a huge hit to my self-esteem when he went and slept with a 22-year-old Instagram model. I'm like, that's fucked up. But it was so crazy in his mind, and maybe you can understand this more as a Christian man, but he was like, it's actually like a compliment to you. That I want to wait with you and I want to do everything right by you. And I'm like, there's nothing that's complimenting about you sleeping with a 22-year-old.
It would have been a compliment to you if he hadn't banged some other chick. You know what I mean? Like, but the compliment kind of goes out the window once you say that and then go hook up with someone else.
So you want me to be like your what? And like we put work in. Yeah. We were together for like almost 2 years.
You had to do workbooks. Good God.
Yeah, I mean, we were like, we put like the work in.
How much of a fraud is relationship therapy? Have you ever done that before?
No. Have you done?
I had a
really.
Girl
you went to relationship therapy?
Drag me to relationship therapy.
Which girl nickname?
All the one before my last one.
Okay.
So
Geppetto.
Yeah.
Scarecrow.
I'd had a moment of weakness and cheated on her. So we were having a bunch of arguments. She couldn't really get over it, and made me go to relationship therapy. All relationship therapy is a time where you can sit in the room with a girl and somebody actually just mediate an argument. And somebody to tell the girl, hey, relax, let the guy talk. Like, that's all it is. Like, it's keeping the girl's emotions under control while you have that's what you're paying all that money for.
Because I'm like a big believer in therapy. Like I went to the same psychiatrist for over 20 years. I still talk to him to this day. And that's been huge in my life. But like, I've never thought relationship therapy was something that was like worthwhile. And like, and then you hear about the therapist ends up like having an affair with one of the people.
Well, listen, I went with my ex-husband. This was like pre him becoming like abusive and terrible. But the therapist essentially told him that it was all his fault and he was doing everything wrong. And he got up and walked out. We never went back.
The thing about it is the therapist actually will say, okay, now I understand where he's coming from. Such as it's like, it's babying the girl so she like is calm, like, all right, don't cry, don't have a spaz attack, listen to what he's saying. Like, and it's like you're basically, it's the same conversation.
That's a medical term.
You basically, it's
I know exactly what he's talking about.
You have the same conversations as you do in the house or when you're by yourself with a person. Just usually it goes off on the deep end because the girl starts freaking out and
emotional regulation.
And it's just the therapist is just there to like mediate it and kind of keep her at bay, so she actually will listen and try to consider. But as soon as you leave, it's like, I can't believe you said that to the therapist. Like,
Yeah,
did you really mean that?
yeah. It's a brand new fight.
Yeah. Like,
It's like, I thought you wanted me to be honest.
Yeah,
How many sessions did you go to?
probably like 3.
Yeah.
Maybe
Did it
3
help
or
at all?
4.
Clearly not.
Yeah, clearly it didn't. I mean, I did it as like
Like
a
last
gesture,
resort?
to show that I was like trying to work on it and be better. But I remember after, it's like, why did we do that? Like, it doesn't, like, do we
You
have to
have to have
pay
the right
you have to pay all that
reasons.
money to have a mediator?
Well, I'm
Like,
looking
Well,
now,
some
10
women
years.
want to do it to get validation that they're not the problem.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so
Well,
it depends on their reasons going
Well,
in.
it ended up paying off 10 years later. We got to talk
And
about
the funny
it on
thing
this.
is,
Yeah,
like-
right. I'm
like-
glad.
Like, you know the scene in Old School with Will Ferrell when he's in the
Yeah,
therapist
yeah,
and he's
yeah.
like, I don't know what she's wearing. Maybe she's wearing a panties.
Yeah.
And maybe it's something I don't know about. Like, and it causes a new
Yeah,
fight. But
yeah.
like that's what it's like, is you're sitting there talking, and even if you have a valid point, it's got to like get translated through the therapist to the woman. Like, hey, no, okay, this is what he's trying to say. This is like,
yeah.
So I think that like old school therapist, like relationship therapy, is straight bullshit. Like nowadays, more of like a coaching style, and this will lead us into, you know, when you're learning someone's attachment style and love language, that could solve every relationship problem ever. You know what I mean? When you're actually like, instead of, okay, you should hear her out more, okay, you should whatever. Like if you're actually learning the core of what it takes to love someone, that might be helpful in like a relationship.
Yes,
You know?
I was gonna say. Speaking of therapy, I know that you gave us some homework.
I did. I gave the boys some homework.
The
And
other
Shav,
night.
of course, did not do it. I knew
Yeah,
he was not
classic.
going to.
He's still gonna ace the test.
Listen,
can tell
I
you
was
that
right there
now.
with him when he took his Spanish course.
Yeah,
I knew he
yeah.
wasn't going to do his
I
homework.
can barely pass Spanish. I don't know about any other languages.
So the attachment styles are essentially, it's like they like brought it all the way back to like caveman times of like how when you're a child, you're basically, you form your attachments with like your parents, affects your relationships in your future. And it's so, I don't know if you've ever read the book Attached, but it's like so on point. It's crazy. I
Yeah.
might have to give you that
I
assignment.
have not read that book, but why don't you take us quick through the 4 attachment styles? And
Okay.
I did do my homework, so I'm ready to share
All
with the
right, let's
class.
see. So there's-
Not that Shav needs it because he did his homework, but you know,
Yeah,
just so the
bullshit.
listeners.
And I honestly tried to put you into a category because I know you so well, but I couldn't. So I'm curious what you
All right.
what you think you are.
So
Okay.
what are the 4?
So secure attachment style is warm and caring, trusting and forgiving, has like appropriate conflict, manages emotions well, and is honest and open. And no, everybody cannot say that they're secure attachment style. Avoidant, emotionally distant, prefers individuality, doesn't depend on their partner, avoids conflict, and is logical. Anxious is insecure, always afraid of their partner leaving, lacks personal boundaries, always shifting their moods, and is highly sensitive. Disorganized is their emotions are messy, they have unresolved trauma that resurfaces often, they're often angry, they have aggressive behavior, and they lack empathy. Those can sound mean about certain ones, but
I feel like that sounds just to me like what is your like star and moon sign? Like it's a lot of like witchcraft and hoopla.
It's
like,
not.
I
It's
don't-
not.
I don't-
Woo-woo.
I could take some stuff from each one of those and say that's me.
Yeah, that's what we're
Well,
doing.
that's the point,
So
yeah.
I will start with mine. So
Okay.
I'm not just going to say secure. I'm a mixture between secure and avoidant.
okay.
Like one of the things I heard you say about that's in the secure category that I really relate with is like trusting someone, because like I'm not dating anyone that I don't trust 100%. So that's never going to be an issue in my relationship, because if I don't feel like I
Yeah.
trust you, like it ain't happening. So I'm always trusting in relationships. And then forgiveness is like something I want to touch on, because I actually think forgiveness is one of the great character traits that we can have as humans.
Absolutely.
Like because I know that when I do something wrong, or if I feel like I hurt someone's feeling, like I want nothing more in the world than to be forgiven. Like until I'm forgiven, I feel terrible. I have a heavy conscience, you know?
Yeah.
And so like I try to be extremely forgiving to other people. I don't like to make people feel bad. So like in my relationships, you know, if there is a fight or there's an issue, I try to be the quickest person to forgive, because I think that's such like a graceful way to treat someone,
It is
to
absolutely.
forgive them. So, but then read avoidant again real quick.
I have other ones too. I'll add these from a different thing.
Well, quick, read the description of avoidant.
So this is a different description, but I'll go further into it. Avoidants are a little fearful. They're more dependent in relationships than avoidant. They're dismissive, strongly fears rejection, has low self-esteem, and has high anxiety in relationships.
And then was that the one where it was saying you're
emotionally distant?
Yeah, so I can be emotionally distant. I'm not always. I do have anxiety. I'm riddled with anxiety just in life in general.
Now, were you anxious about relationships?
No,
like
not relationships. I'm just
ending?
anxious about. I just have like generalized anxiety. A lot of times I can't even tell you what I'm anxious about. It's like the way I describe it is like I think there's a monster in the closet, and you can open that door and show me that there's nothing in there, and as soon as you close it, I'll think there's a monster in the closet. That's just like what anxiety is to me. It's a impending sense of doom is the best way to describe it. So I definitely have anxiety. I can be avoidant though, like sometimes I just don't want to have the talks, like sometimes.
Well, that's men in general.
Yeah. I am the opposite of what is the one where it's talking about clingy or
anxious.
Like, that's the anxious, like that is the opposite of me.
Yeah.
I am not, I very much value my alone time. I very much value like my personal space and stuff. So
like anxious has a sensitive nervous system, struggles communicating their needs directly. They tend to act out when triggered.
Yeah, that's not me. No. So I'm avoidant or secure. But yeah, I'm like someone that is that anxious style that is like overbearing, clean, like that. I've been in relationships like that, and it's never worked well because like I've got to have my space. Like I've got to have Dan time,
Yeah.
So
I don't necessarily think that is like. I think that's more of like a love language thing than it is the attachment styles of needing your space and stuff.
Yeah. So those would be mine: secure and avoidant.
I mean, the one thing that stood out to me of everything you said was just avoids conflict. I can't think of one trait that I try to like.
I hate conflict too.
But again, I'm gonna, as somebody who's trying to prioritize the Christian values going into a relationship, forgiveness obviously is one of the most important things. But it's like, what I forgive, but I wouldn't forgive a girl for like cheating.
Well, here's the thing: I would forgive them, but I wouldn't be with them.
Okay,
like you know what I mean? I can.
Right.
That's the other thing. Like I can forgive you and still be like, I mean, I'm not going to be with you, but like, am I going to hate you the rest of my life? Because no,
I agree with that.
If you're going to do that to me, then it wasn't meant to be anyways, and I don't want to be with you anyways.
Yeah.
So thanks for letting me know, and I forgive you. Let's move on.
Forgiveness is like for your own peace.
Always
exactly.
Always.
Resentments only hurt the person who holds them.
Absolutely, they do, and your body really does. I've learned this so much in my old age that your body really does keep the score of everything you've been through in your life, like health-wise.
For sure. But talking about, like, I am super anti-confrontational. Like, I get anxiety from thinking there's going to be a confrontation. I end up being in relationships sometimes with women who are, like, prone to guilt trip you, and I think it's because they subconsciously seek out like I think someone who likes to guilt trip other people, they'll subconsciously seek out friends or partners that they're able that works on.
Guilt tripping is one of like
and
the
so
worst
like
things.
a lot like the best way to get me to do something sometimes is like to guilt trip me, and like I need to be better at setting up boundaries, but like I've had women and that I've dated like really use that against me, and that's
a terrible trait. That goes along the lines
worst.
With like, and we should touch on that more when we talk
guilt tripping is the
about
worst.
When we talk about people with no self-awareness and who can never be wrong. We should dive deeper on that.
And I always think that like, okay, they're not going to do this anymore because they know that this this makes me crazy and this like hurts me, but if it works, people are going to keep doing it. And so, part of that is on me to like put up the boundary. But I will never date a guilt tripper again, because I got so much anxiety from that. And so I would just cave because like I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I'll just do it. You know what? It'd just be easier if I just shut up and do it. And so that's been an issue. And then finally, by the time I do push back, it's like it's happened, and now I'm just like freaking out. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it,
And then
I'll
you're
leave. And then I'll leave.
And then you're the one who takes the heat for everything because you've took so long
Exactly.
to say something that you're bad for exploding, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's part of that is codependency too,
Yeah.
like pleasing other people, and then when you finally speak up for yourself, everybody looks at you like you're terrible because they're so used to you doing everything they want and pleasing them,
But I'm definitely not the other side of codependence of like I'm definitely not someone who needs someone. You know what I mean? Like
that's not codependency. Do you know that?
What's
like,
that?
True codependency is not needing someone else. It's putting other people before yourself so you don't take a look at what's going on inside yourself.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, those like extreme nurturer people that will like, remember like she was like literally overbearingly taking care of people.
Yeah.
And one of my other friends is like that too. And I'm a former codependent, so I know it's so that you don't.
Former codependent.
Yeah, like I used to freaking.
Yeah.
I used to way overtake, and I'm nurturing by nature. That's just who I am.
Yeah.
But I used to like overdo it.
Yeah.
Because then I never had to look at what the hell was going on inside myself.
I'm not
and then
like
when
that,
it all
but
came,
I do like women who are nurturing, but you're right, it can get.
Yeah.
And also, I think for me, like I have to be aware of that to not take advantage of, like someone could take advantage of my anti-confrontation, and so they could guilt trip me into doing
I have
stuff.
the same problem.
I could date a nurturer and take advantage of that if I'm not like aware.
I don't think there's a way to take advantage of it. Like because a true nurturer, like
They
I
want
love,
to.
I love to,
Yeah.
I'm the first to like, like feed people and make sure everybody's good.
I think that's great. I like that quality. I want a woman who's nurturing.
Yeah.
Most women are like confrontational. I'm not. I shut down almost to like a terrible like way. And I don't know if that's because I was like in like a shitty abusive marriage, but I kind of feel like I've always been like this. Like if there's confrontation, immediately I shut down.
Really?
I just like I don't want to deal with it. I just want to go quiet.
I'm the same way. I want to avoid confrontation.
Yeah, and it's like I can't control it either. Like my whole body just goes like, doop.
Some people,
and then like I'll mute a conversation. I'll walk like I can't do it. But then at some point, a day later or hours later, I'm like, okay, I could deal with this now.
Some people, I don't get it, but some people enjoy confrontation. Some people get their rocks off on confrontation. I'm like,
I absolutely hate it.
How do you do that, man? Like, I don't know.
I mean, I think that like when you're young, like, and you're kind of new in the game, like, it might make you think the other person cares, or like, but
and not even just relationship, just in general, like even like a coworker who just, they're always just, saying something. It's like,
like a negative. I have a friend in my life that's
you
like that.
really have to poke me really,
I can
really
never
hard
imagine
to,
you getting upset, Shav. I could
no,
never.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't ever get upset, but for me to like to show it enough to get in a confrontation with somebody, like for better or worse, whether that's good or bad.
Easy to read. Like I can always tell when you're really stressed out and I need to like shut up. Like I think you're easy to read, and you give off that vibe where I feel like if the right person with you should kind of see that, like, okay, he's really stressed. Let me not poke him right now. He'll eventually come back around.
Well, that's how Ines was. That's why we lasted. That's why we were so good. We lasted for so long, is because that's exactly she was the same. Like she doesn't like confrontation either. But
I think that kind of goes also back to like old school. I was actually having this conversation with a potential client today, and she's like a holistic acupuncturist from Manhattan, and she was actually saying that part of what she teaches women in her fertility business is to go back to their feminine energy and to stop like trying to control relationships. And she's like, I think like some women aren't getting pregnant because they're trying to be the man in the relationship. Mm-hmm. And like she even said it, and like I never would have thought that she would actually say out loud that that's a big issue. So I think women who are starting these like big fights and like are not in a feminine role or in their feminine energy, because if you're like women need to understand, I don't know if I just learned this in my older age, it's never going to get you anywhere pushing a man and nagging him and bitching. It's just there's nothing good that's going to come out of it.
It's very masculine to be confrontational and always like be trying to fight. It's unattractive for me to see a girl like get aggressive. I don't like it at all.
So what style are you?
Okay, well, we didn't get Shav's, but I'm going to read a couple more of like a few more lines, and this can help you, and then I'll tell you mine. Secure is healthy relationship with your primary caregiver, because they do say that this stems from like your childhood.
I have amazing parents who were like, they're so supportive, they're so loving, they made me feel so like and I think that the reason that I say like secure is one of because my parents, like I could not envision parents parenting or loving any better than they did. And so like I do try to bring that, to relationships. And I think that definitely has a lot to do with who I am, you know?
Mine is not the same. But anyway, secure shows appropriate distress when left alone, able to seek support, can regulate their emotions and manage conflict. Anxious attachment style is limited parental availability, distress when left, craves close relationships but struggles to trust, needs reassurance from partners. Feelings of anxiety and jealousy are common amongst them. An avoidant had abuse or neglect from a caregiver. They have no preference for their parental presence in their life. They're very independent, pattern of withdrawal, tendency to minimize the feelings of others, preference for very casual relationships instead of committed.
That's not me at all, actually.
I don't think you're an avoidant. I would say that you're secure, but you're just highly independent, and your love language would tend to be like more, that. I don't think you're an avoidant.
I was just thinking about avoiding arguments.
That's like love language shit.
Whatever the language that is.
Whatever
that's
avoiding. That's like a male. You're fluent in male. And
I'm cerebral in avoiding arguments.
And then disorganized, inconsistent parenting, intimate relationships feel confusing, feeling of unworthiness, tendency towards aggressive or antisocial behaviors. So mine is kind of hard because I would say that I'm like 100% secure now, but I would say that I was anxious for a while in my 20s. That I struggled. I lost my first boyfriend. He passed away. And I think that made me afraid to like lose people. So I think I was very anxious, like the end of relationships, fighting, and like that made me anxious. But I have worked really hard to become secure.
That's awesome. My mom is super nurturing, and like, I think that's where I get the attraction to, that
the nurturing,
that nurturing thing is because my mom to this day is, like that, and it's great.
Yeah, I think that. I became a certified life coach. I read all these books. I learned a shit ton about all of this kind of stuff to get myself to secure. But in a minute, after we talk about Shav, I want to talk about the avoidant a little bit, because D is hardcore avoidant. He triggers the anxious side of me a little bit and made me actually have like anxiety and almost like a panic attack, and sort of started pulling me away from the secure that I normally am. And I'm like, okay, this is bad. So I think that like knowing people's attachment styles and recognize them is actually super important.
Yeah.
Because like if you love someone, especially like an avoidant, you can't take it personally.
Yeah.
Avoidants are usually avoidance because of trauma. That's why I don't think you're an avoidant.
No, I'm like, I've never had any trauma with like family or anything. Like, it's like I almost feel guilty sometimes about how,
it's
amazing
rare.
My family is. The older I get, the more people I meet and hear, learn about their family. I'm like, damn, like I knew I was lucky, but I didn't like, I had an amazing parents' childhood, like growing up, and to this day there's no one more supportive. Like,
that's why you should have kids, Dan.
I would have fallen on my ass so many times without them. Like, if it weren't for them, I don't know where I would be. And so
see, my parents gave me all that stuff, but like I grew up in like an old school Italian, like you don't ever talk about your feelings, you don't ever cry, you don't, like feelings don't exist.
Like Cosa Nostra,
like feelings don't exist. You don't.
No, I was encouraged to talk about my feelings.
I think that's so important. And I'm obviously, anybody that knows me knows I'm like, I like pour love out of my soul, so to grow up in a house like that very much made me anxious, because I was like, am I supposed to give love? Am I supposed, All right, Shavlik, I would say that you're like secure, but that you're a little bit avoidant right now.
Yeah, whatever avoiding conflict, whichever one listed avoiding conflict, I would say that is the one trait that stood out to me above the rest. I want peace. I want support. I don't want something that's gonna bring me down. I think that's kind of like most.
Well, that's more love language stuff, I would say.
Well, love languages. So I've got my love language. I've done the love language stuff a few times, and I've got like one that's a clear number one, and then I got one that's a clear number two, and then the other three, I'm not really. It don't really matter to me. And I was dating the last woman I dated. she had one of the ones that her number one didn't really matter to me, and my number one didn't really matter to her. And like
I don't
looking
think it's
back,
that big
well,
of a deal. But hold on, let's get his. We got to get his attachment style down pat first.
I do not. I mean, again,
I would say
a lot of that
secure because of how you're a Christian man and you want to lead in a relationship. I think you know what it takes to have a healthy relationship. I think you're avoiding one right now.
Maybe. I don't know.
You're not going out trying to meet anybody. You're not having important conversations with certain people.
That goes back to like, I have realized that you just have to work on being the best version of yourself. And somebody, you know, whether that's somebody that's already been in your past or somebody new, if I work on being the best version of myself, that I can be the best Christian, walking my walk with God, that the person is going to fall in place. And I used to be like that a little when I was younger, and I kind of got away from it from different things that happened to me. But whatever that translates into on that, I'm not sure. Again, that sounded a bunch like, you know, what do you?
I think you're avoiding being avoidant here.
No,
you're not putting yourself out there whatsoever. You're not having those important conversations with somebody in your life that you might want to. You know, I'm not gonna throw your business out on the podcast, but I think you're avoiding.
I definitely have not had like any emotional energy to like. To do that.
It's a lot to like have talks and to it's a lot of energy, man.
Yeah,
like emotional energy is way more draining than physical energy could ever be. It's like. But
the thing also is like, look, women want a man that's already got his ish together. I heard a quote. It was great. Women will stand at the finish line and just get to pick out the winners, and it's up to you to go become a winner. You're responsible for you becoming a winner, because the woman that you want, no matter how great she's probably going to be just waiting at the finish line, trying to get with the winners. And it's the man's responsibility to make himself a winner.
I don't always agree with that. I've always been like on path to help. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I've always been down with like even with D right now in my life. He's probably at what he would say was one of the lowest points, and I'm not like at the winner's line, you know, the end waiting for a winner. I'm like, all right, this motherfucker's not even in the race anymore, and I'm like, I'm here for it. I'm sitting with a minute.
Y'all have a past. Y'all have got like a long past together.
Yes,
like
that is very true.
And I don't know what the dynamics were when you first met him. And again, when I say stuff, it's not every person. It's not, you know, there's always exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, women get to stand at the end of the race and see who's the fastest.
I mean, that could be my flaw, that I don't pick the winners. You know, I tend to see good in people that a lot of other people don't. But I will say the attachment style, like D is a hardcore avoidant, and he wasn't before. Like, he used to be like straight up secure. Our whole relationship prior, we were both secure, super healthy, like never fought. So seeing somebody become an avoidant to sort of like protect themselves and shut down is interesting. But I think if you learn someone's attachment style, you can learn to like love them in their way, you know?
Why did y'all break up the first time?
It just wasn't good timing. Yeah. He had just gotten a divorce like within the last certain amount of months, and she found out about me and like started taking his kids away and like causing all sorts of stress.
That's just stuff I can't even
contribute to.
Like I can't. I don't know.
It sucked because it made him feel such guilt. Like, you know, I hurt my family, and now here I'm in love again already, and my ex-wife is hurt.
Guilt is the worst.
Yeah, and so that's his whole reason for being an avoidant, is he feels bad for late
so many words of affirmation. That's why I'm so in love with him. My second one is acts of service. It goes back to the nurturing thing. Yeah. But my ex-girlfriend, her number one, not even close, was quality time. And she and I found, I think
that's a hard one to work with.
I think the majority of women are quality time. Not all of them, but I think that is the most popular for women. And here's the thing that would really annoy me, and tell me what you guys think about this, is she would be like, you know, I want to spend quality time. She didn't consider like laying on the couch together and watching a movie.
Oh my God, that's my favorite quality time.
She didn't consider that quality time.
Oh my God, that's the best
I'd be like,
quality
we just
time.
spent the whole night together. Well, it's not
that's
quality
my favorite.
time.
Oh my
and then
God.
she'd get so mad. She'd be like, let's go on a walk. And I'd be like I just worked out. Like here's a hot take. I hate going on walks. I can't stand aimless walks. Where are we going? You know,
Yeah.
do I need to see nature? I see nature all the time. I can't stand going on walks. And she always wanted me to go on a walk. And it would start fights that I didn't want to go on a walk.
I think there's a
Here's the
certain
thing.
group of women that feel like they need to do this like coupley shit, like
Yeah.
because other couples
No,
are posting
they-
about it. Like
yeah.
this couple's going on a
No.
walk. This
Yeah.
guy's buying me
Dan,
a boo basket.
They want you to do stuff that you don't want to
Exactly.
do to show for them. They want to pick out stuff. Like if you didn't like sitting on the couch and watching a movie and just talking with someone,
I don't think
that
that's
would
the
that
reason.
would be enough. For
I don't
her.
think that's the reason.
Yeah.
I think that there's a bunch of shit that women, because I have felt this pressure before and I have checked myself. Like even with D, I'm like, should we be doing like going to a winery on a Sunday? Like, and I start thinking like, are we supposed to be doing this coupley shit? And then I'm like, I like to literally be
love
snuggling
sitting
on the couch.
love
Like
it.
that's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so but like I remember, she would, and then she would guilt trip me into going on a walk, right? So then I'd end up going on a walk, and then
Do you think she actually liked it, or do you think she felt like you
I
guys
don't
should
know.
be doing that kind of shit?
I don't know,
But
but
Dan,
yeah.
it's not a walk. It's a whole new name for it's being created. It's called going on a hike.
Oh yes, going on a hike is.
Well,
the,
was
is
it
the
hikes
cool
or
thing.
was it walks? Like, did
Well,
she just want to walk aimlessly around the neighborhood?
She did.
I love
she
that
did
you have
like
a
to go on
microphone
hikes
now.
too.
I
Yeah.
love that Hollywood has a
That is so
microphone
true,
now.
though. People are obsessed with going on hikes these days. But
I feel like they think they're supposed to.
yeah. So
you know?
she would like guilt me, and so finally, because I give in to guilt.
Well, give an example of how she guilted you.
So I she'd be like, you want to go on a walk? I'm like, she'd be like. And I'm like, well, I mean, she'd be like, fine, I'll never ask you again. Like, you don't want to spend quality time with me. Like, that kind of thing. And I'm like, no. Like, you know what? I'm sorry. I was just tired. Like, I'll go on a walk. And so then we'd go on a walk and like, I did not want to be there. So like, I wouldn't be like really, I'd be kind of quiet and stuff. She'd be like, well, you're a bundle of joy. And I'd be like, you knew I didn't want to go on a walk. Like, and now you want to complain about me not being in a good mood? I don't want to be here. What do you want me to do?
Like, I think I've definitely learned this, and I'm so much happier now that I've learned this. Like, there's some things that I just need to do by myself.
Yeah.
That, like the person I'm with, whoever it is, if they don't want to do it, like, don't force somebody to do something they don't like doing, because they're not ever going to have fun doing it. And you don't need to have... Why couldn't she go for a walk by herself or with the dog or with a friend or her mom,
I would never want someone to do something with me that didn't want to do it. The whole time I would be thinking like, God, I'm forcing them to be here. How can you enjoy that? She'd just be walking, and they'd be like, oh, you're a bundle of joy. Like, she was happier than a clam, even though she knew I didn't want to be there. And it's just.
And I bet you if she didn't force you, that at some point, like, maybe like you do it with her like as a nice surprise. It's like, hey, it's your birthday. I know you love walking. Like, let's go for a walk.
Or
but
like,
if it's a responsibility, it's a different thing.
She loved going out with her friends, right? And so she would go out with her friends. There's like a group of like 10 of them, and she would get so upset with me if I didn't want to go.
So my God. With just her friends and you?
Yeah. And
with
so
no dudes?
Well, no, there's dudes.
Okay. I was like,
so I'd go, and then like I'd stand there and like, because I didn't want to be there. I actually really liked her friends, but like, I just kind of be like chilling, and I don't drink, and so they'd be drinking, and I'd be chilling, and she's hanging out with her friend, and I'm like, why am I like? It would have been the exact same experience for her if I wasn't there, but she would get mad at me if I didn't want to go. A
lot of that is that maybe she was afraid people would say something to her if you weren't there.
I don't know.
Maybe she cared about what people thought.
So I'm like an extrovert. I'm an introvert, but like. People think I'm an extrovert just because like I'll talk and I'll talk like this and stuff, but really I'm an introvert. My battery gets recharged from being alone. Like I said, I really value my alone time.
Yeah.
Her battery would get charged by being social, and so it was like the direct opposite. But like she could never understand, that I just wanted my. But here's the thing, she minded that I liked my alone time. I never minded she liked her social time. Like I was like, yeah, do your thing, but she just wanted to be together 24/7. And that's, so I know moving forward that like,
So
I don't
is quality time a lot of time, or is it, because it's quality time of like snugging on the couch and watching a good movie, but it could be once a week.
Well, that wasn't considered quality time. It was like, a date night or a walk or going out. I'm like, how is going out with your friends quality time? I'm not even talking to you.
You know what a lot of it is? They want you to take them in public to be seen with them. Like it's part of like just staying in the house, and like they want you to want to show them off. Like it gives them a certain,
and it gives them a reason. Like women like reasons to like look good and put on makeup. I'm at the point though where like I almost laugh every week I do my laundry because it's like yoga pants, sports bras, and t-shirts. Like I can't tell you the last time besides being here, that I put on jeans.
I think it is, and I've thought this for a while. What is the point of like going out to a lounge or to a club with your girlfriend? Like you go out to try and meet, like what?
Unless you're going with like another group of couples, you know?
Or like a birthday celebration. There's a bunch of people.
Women love it to like go to the club, go out because you're taking them out like.
And we're just gonna sit there.
All you're inviting is another guy to like hit on your girl, and then you have to like stand up for and get in a potential fight. But I feel like they get something from that, like seeing you.
They just like to get dressed up and go out, and you know.
Right now,
maybe they want to show you off too. You know.
The Natural. He's dating this girl right now, and she lives in New York, but she'll come down, you know, all the time, and every weekend. I mean, look, we live together right now.
It's the most insane relationship I've ever seen in my life.
I think you should come sit here.
They
make people wonder who you are.
Sit over. So I'm sitting next to
They
him.
do not stop doing stuff from the second she gets here to the second she leaves.
Like
I mean,
what?
it's a winery, it's the new restaurant, it's going on walks, you know. And I'm like,
are they a new relationship?
Not anymore. Not anymore. They're not.
How
but
long?
like, he's so laid back, he just goes with the flow. And I think he does like being social and doing stuff. But I'd say a year now maybe. But I'm like, more power to you, bro. Like, I could never date her.
Yeah.
I mean, she would hate dating me.
Back to the thing about going out in public with your girl. They want other girls to be jealous of them. It goes back.
I knew he was going to tie it back to jealousy.
But it's true. They want other women to see and be jealous of them. They want to like feel like people are jealous of her. So they want to get dolled up and look hot or look attractive.
Yeah, sometimes they want to show off their man. There's a whole and they want to get dressed up.
No, they don't want to show off their man. They want to be. They want their man to show them off. Like it's like
both.
a reverse.
No, it's both. Like there's definitely been times where when I used to want to go out back in the day, where I'd want to like where I'd want to get dressed up. I mean, it gives you a reason to like wear hot clothes other than your yoga pants. And there's been times where I'm like I've wanted to like show off the dude I'm with and just be out and like socialize. And none of it had to do with me wanting girls to want him because that's the last thing I wanted. Girls don't want to. I mean, maybe from like a distance, but like I don't know.
Want other girls to.
I was thinking about this last night, and you guys are right in ways. I did. All right. Give me a minute. I did last night. I was thinking about some of the things you said and realized that sometimes I'm talking from this moment right now, and I forget that like even just a year ago I was a lot different. So I get that jealousy factor a little bit.
You want to see that other girls want him and him shun off other girls and just like you. That's why there's so many fights when guys go out with their girlfriends because the expectation of the girl,
the girls definitely
they need
do
like
start
the
it.
drama. Like,
I've never been in a fist fight in my life, and maybe that's the reason my
neither have I.
Yeah, I don't plan on it either. I can't see any, honestly, like moving forward in life, I can't see any situation where I would punch anyone. Like, I haven't done it to this point in 37 years. I think I'm going to go my whole life without being in a fist fight.
You're not supposed to like get in physical confrontations and fistfights when you're always going to be physically the bigger person. Like you're 6'5", 220 pounds. I'm 6'8", 6'9", 260. Like, why would I ever get in a fist fight with somebody?
No one's gonna fight you guys.
Wow.
I did think of an example though, a recent one. David comes over to my house late at night after work. So, and I live in a neighborhood that like there's lots of bars and restaurants. So he was walking up to my apartment with like a hoodie on, and this has happened twice to him. One time I saw it. A drunk girl has like come over and started like hugging on him and been like, hey, Immediately I was like, we're going to walk the dog. Like I wanted to get downstairs so that she could see me with him before anything.
Right.
I was like, who are you?
Right.
like
You've never been so attracted to him.
Like drunky. And I was
nothing makes a woman happier than to see other women want her, so she feels a little tinge of jealousy. But her man shunned the other women.
The
for
romantic
her.
comedy.
But
he turned a circle instead of like her hugging him.
That probably just made your night.
And has this ever happened? You go out with your girl and you go back after the dinner and she's acting weird, and then she say,
I saw you look at that girl.
She say, were you looking at so and so? Like, I just don't feel like you were giving me this, that when we were out.
Yeah,
I don't
Listen, girls can also sense when other women like you. I know there's been times where I've gone out with a dude and
we've talked about the bloodhound effect.
But the guys are oblivious to it. Like, I have definitely had the conversation with a dude who's
I'm glad
like,
that you think that.
all right, so maybe he played it off to me, but like he seemed genuinely like, there's no way that girl was into me. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I know when girls are into you.
Also, girls always think that every other girl wants their guy. They have to think that.
If they don't think that, they wouldn't be attracted
to
it.
Exactly.
They are oblivious. There's been times I've told you that girls were checking you out. And you're like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not, because I just wasn't looking for it. I'm not surprised. But
I feel like men are a little oblivious to it.
Yeah, kind of.
So my love language, like, first of all, the quality time thing. I like quality time, but not quantity time. You know what I mean? Like, I love, like, David will come over on a Friday night. And like I said, he comes over late and we just stay up all night watching Netflix and laughing and, like, listening to vinyls or whatever. To me, that's, like, perfect. That's all I want to do. Yeah. But to your point.
What is listening to vinyls?
Records.
Like records.
Vinyl records.
Yeah.
What's the difference in that, like,
it's
an
just,
iPod?
It's just the original way that music.
Yeah, it just sounds cool.
It sounds.
Like, I have my dad's record collection, my grandpa's.
Do you put on a tuxedo and
it's like
no, it's nice to cook while listening.
It's like
to
how
Louis
you
Prima.
put the record on. It's like you would listen. It's like how people would listen to it in the '60s and stuff.
It sounds good.
I'll
play it next time you come over to my house.
All right.
But I know that there's a lot of stuff I do in my life that David doesn't enjoy doing, like pickleball or like I'm going on my annual boat trip with my friends. And at first I wanted him to go because there's like a lot of couples that go. Yeah. And I've been doing it this is like my 5th year doing it. And he's like, I'm going to be honest, I have no desire to be on a boat with your
she
friends.
owns a boat. She just subtly threw in there, she owns a boat. Like,
this is not my boat. This is like... I'm
trying to make you look cooler
this isn't mine. This is like... we go up to Virginia. We stay on it for a weekend, and he goes, "My social anxiety, like I don't know your friend, like I don't be mad, but I don't want to go." And I was like, "All right, cool." Like I fully respected that he told me that. I would much rather go and have a blast with my friends and not have to worry about entertaining him than dragging him somewhere I know he doesn't want to be. You know,
my point exactly.
Yeah, to me it sounds like miserable, and I know there's things that he likes to do that I don't like to do. Yeah. You know, and I think that people need to, like, couples don't have to do everything together. No. Like, they really, really don't.
Yeah, talking about, like, going back to the parents, like, my parents were very much like that. Like, my dad he likes to do social stuff. He loves talking to people. He could talk to a wall. My mom's more like me. She loves her, like, and my dad, I've never seen him force her to go. If she wants to go, great. If not, and they always kind of had their life together, but, like, separate lives, you know. My mom's still, like, my dad's still working. He's 77. My mom's retired. And she says, it's like, why are you still working? My dad's like, well, she married me for breakfast and dinner, but not lunch. You know, like, she don't want me around, like, all day.
The proof of why it doesn't work. No woman should be running the relationship.
Wait, just say it again.
I've always been
that the woman cannot run the relationship.
No, a woman should not be trying to run the relationship.
Okay.
I actually had that conversation with that client that I was just telling you about, and how it's just not how it's supposed to be. It goes against nature, and you know, she was like, women. I don't want to like throw her under the bus, but sometimes women need to just shut the fuck up. I'm gonna get nasty comments about that,
you said it.
You know how I've always been like that.
So would you agree that also in nature, most species of animals, the male is not monogamous?
Listen, I'm not on board with that.
But so you're just gonna pick and choose what aspects of nature?
No, I do not at this point in my life want to be in a relationship where the person would be with other people. I want to like get old and
you want to be with someone that could be with other people but won't be.
Possibly. Yeah. Trust me, I do know that there's a lot of women that want David, and I know that I joke with him sometimes. I'm like, can you just not go in public? You know, like I make jokes with him. And
so what love language are you? Words of affirmation?
I don't know, dude.
Oh, yeah. Like, so let's go through them.
What do you need from your partner? Do you want them to, like, what makes you feel good? Is it words of affirmation? Is it physical touch? Is it quality
physical touch
time?
is my number one.
Or is it like them acts of service, them doing something for you, like, or or is it giving gifts?
I think acts of service is
acts of
definitely
service and
big
words
for
of
Shav.
affirmation, probably.
I don't know.
Definitely
Acts of service would be like a woman. He's 100% acts of service, like a woman cooking dinner for you. Doing like
Rubbing
the
your
womanly
back.
shit.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
someone nurturing you.
Yeah,
Like the wifey shit.
yeah.
Well, I mean, every guy wants like the wifey.
I definitely think you're acts of service.
I think he is.
And
too.
then I would say words of affirmation for sure.
Do you have to be one of them? Can you
No,
just,
no. Like
I think I'm one that it's not. I didn't hear listed, but also it just is it not like are you a Leo or are you a Sat? Like all that BS that women.
No,
use?
these are very accurate.
Yeah, no, I just know that when someone tells me, like, I need someone to tell me good job. Like, if someone tells me that, like, I'm good. It like fills me up.
So D is 100% words of affirmation guy. So I make sure, like, if we're talking about whether we're gonna hang out or not, if he says, "Can I stop by tonight?" or I don't say sure, I say I would absolutely love to see you. And then every time he leaves, I always text and say, like, thank you so much for making time for me. I know it's not easy for you. I appreciate it so much.
That's very nice.
This is like, that goes a long way.
It
So
does.
I don't think this is like, oh, you're a Leo and a Gemini. I think it's like knowing how somebody gives and receives love and making sure to give that to them.
I just need a Christian woman that believes in God, walks her walk with or without me, and brings peace to a relationship. Whatever language that is, that's
No,
what I
you're
am.
definitely a words of affirmation guy too.
And acts of service.
Yeah.
Well, if you,
You
say
like,
so,
you
I don't
like
know.
to be, no, you like to be thanked. Like if you pay for dinner for everybody, when people thank you, I see you react well. You definitely
well,
a words of
because
affirmation guy.
you don't want someone just to expect you to take it. Not to say that I won't. Like I feel like that is the man's role, but you don't want. It's different when they just expect everything. You know what I mean? Like it's especially at the beginning stages.
Or what if and maybe when you played basketball, like if whoever you were with when you were playing basketball noticed and said, oh, you had a really great game. I saw that you put in all that work. Just like reassurance.
Just it's
Or
recognition.
you're looking more,
It's recognition. It's someone basically.
But is everybody not like that? Like
No.
no.
Every guy I've ever been with has pointed out to me, even friends. Like I remember Jorge saying to me recently, you always send me a text after, you go home and say thank you for dinner and blah, blah, blah. I was like, doesn't everybody do that?
My ex was not a words of affirmation giver. And
Are we talking
That
about
had to be
Irondo?
we're
hard.
talking about, and it was especially with like my career and I'm creating all the time. And so I show
that's
her a
hard.
music video
Yeah.
or show her something. But then when we'd be in public, she'd be like, Dan's a great filmmaker. Dan's really
But
talented.
never told you that
But would
personally?
never say that to me.
Yeah.
Or if she watched the video, she'd tell me like the one thing that could have been better.
Oh, that's tough.
But then like my parents, they watch it, and my mom will be honest. Like sometimes she'll be like, I don't really get that. That really, but like, they're constantly like, you're really talented. Wow, that was like great. And they'll sit down and watch. Like I felt like I was burdening my ex by even showing her my work
That's the
sometimes.
worst,
Whereas my
yeah.
parents are like, oh my God, I can't wait to see it. Like come over and show, And so I felt like I was burdening her so I wouldn't show her. And then when I did show her, it was just like, oh yeah, cool. And
I know that
but then we go in
feeling,
public
yeah.
and she's telling everyone, how talented I am. I was like, you couldn't just say that to me.
Yeah.
Like,
I had a relationship like that too when I was a journalist, and I was used to people I was with reading the articles I wrote or watching my clips from on air and stuff and being like, oh, that story was really cool, blah, blah, blah. And I remember being with this one guy who it felt like I was bothering him to have him read it. But then we would go out in public and they'd be like, she's such a talented writer and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
and
because that improved their image in public.
Yeah.
They were with a reporter,
Very
a journalist. They were with a filmmaker.
Yeah.
By saying how great you were, that made their worth and their image better in
that's
public.
very
It's
true,
true.
Hollywood.
That's a good point.
And
That's very true.
It's the thing that really like made it like hurt me even more is she was a sports reporter and I watched every fucking game
Oh, I remember.
she ever did. I would be at your house and I would it'd be on like ESPN Plus, it'd be a random like low level game, and I would watch every one of her hits, like halftime coming out of the first half, and I would text because she could actually be on her friend, so I'd text her like, oh, that was awesome, I really like how you did this. every
huge.
game she ever did, and
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like I received that in return,
Yeah.
which was like
It's-
so frustrating to me.
Wait,
It's
did she-
awful not like getting that.
Did she end up coming in town? I know you said she was coming in town.
She
yeah.
was, yeah. She it was her mom's wedding, and like our schedules didn't link up. But
Okay.
I actually probably will see her. She's coming in town for another wedding. We're cool and
Is
everything.
she
I actually
still,
respect.
does she still work for the same team?
Yeah.
She still does
Yeah.
sideline stuff?
Yeah. No, I think she's great, and like I
Yeah.
think for some person she'd be perfect, not for me. But like those were the things that like led, in at least on my side, to like the downfall of our
It doesn't
relationship.
have to even be your love language, but you have to like give somebody love the way they like to receive
Yeah.
it, you know? Like knowing what people's love languages are can be a very powerful tool, but you still have to give a shit at the end of the day.
for
You know,
sure.
you still have to put in, like I know David likes to receive gifts too, like not in the like selfish, like, you know, money way of like, what's that word? Money?
No, it's just that it's a thoughtful
Privileged,
thing.
Yeah.
entitled.
Yeah.
No, but you know what I mean. And so I'm a gift giver. I love to give gifts.
Women are
too.
better at giving gifts than guys.
I am
They're
like
so much better.
the gift giver. I literally got my ex
Really?
written onto
I
a
don't think
Simpsons
so.
episode.
I've always
Really?
been an amazing gift giver.
See, I
Really?
Like probably too much. Yeah, like I'm embarrassed some of the
I'm
the money
super
I've
good at
spent
it too.
on girls.
And I pay attention and I keep little notes. Like I have notes in my phone
Yeah,
of like
see-
even friends, like things that
I've dated women who
You
are
know?
amazing gift givers. Like I'll say something and then like it's like, wow, how do you even think? How do you even remember that? But
like David needed new wine glasses for his house. So I got him engraved, etched wine glasses, but I got him a personalized wine bottle, like the label that said, he calls me Peanut, that's my nickname. And I got a label that said pairs well with Peanut. You know, so he had like custom wine and
See,
like
that's a thought-
custom wine.
that's
I go crazy.
that's
you know?
very thoughtful. So that's like the why giving gifts would be an act of love language, is because you
Yeah.
know it shows that someone listened when you said that you
Yeah.
wanted that.
It
or
also
whatever.
cock blocked him, so he could never drink the wine with another girl.
See, ulterior motive.
Yeah,
Can I-
yeah.
but-
I actually got like wine stoppers that
Yeah.
said peanut only and things. Like we made it a joke.
Can I
after a
also
minute.
say though, and I don't to kind of just pivot off of this, a kiss of death
Yeah.
with a guy trying to court a woman is listening to everything she says she wants and trying to do it. If you try to do everything that woman says she wants just by virtue of her having to tell you, and
what?
you, yeah, a kiss of death for a guy is to hear a girl saying what she wants, to how to get her, how to get her to fall for it, and trying to do that. She'll perceive that as a weakness and be unattracted to that.
I don't think so.
At the
necessarily.
courtship stage, absolutely.
At the courtship stage, I think they're
Well, if they
you-
do the cheesy, like
if you can
they're
be like you
verbatim
can be
doing-
over, it comes off as overly into it, like
Yeah.
like you hear her say like, oh yeah, I want a guy who does this and this and this, and then you try to do it, but she's actually the guy that she
Yeah.
likes is the one who's not doing any
No,
of
no.
that.
A girl doesn't want. They say they want this guy to send flowers. You don't want a guy to send you flowers. You want the guy you're not going to be attracted to because
no.
you send flowers.
Hold on. Here's the thing. Women don't like despise nice guys, but there's a way to strongly be a nice guy. Like
I agree with you. I'm not saying
don't
they
buy
despise
just
nice
roses.
guys.
If she likes flowers, like, you know, don't just send roses. Don't be like cookie cutter. There's a way to be a nice guy and be like sexy about it, you know?
But what I'm saying is there
That's where
is
you can move
such a
Yes.
there's such a tightrope walk of how to be a nice guy while doing, like, you've got to be in the matrix and to walk that tightrope. My advice is, if you're going to err on the side of being less caring, over masculine,
I don't
like
think so. So in my relationship with D last time, and
well,
I was
well,
younger.
They can choose who they want to listen
Hold
to.
on, listen. Last time I was younger in my first relationship with D, and he was super romantic, super amazing, super nice, way loving. There was not an even tiny bit of skewing asshole in there, but he also did it in like he. I was going to go down and visit him where he lived, and he mailed me an overnight bag, slippers for his house, and like a dress that was custom made, sundress in my size. I thought that was
okay,
super
but
hot.
this was probably why you were you were already so into him.
Nope, this was before we even saw each other in person since high school, before we reunited. This was like him courting me, coming on super strong, but in a very hot way. You know, like it was awesome that he mailed me an overnight bag. And, like, he took control. That's what it was. He was very, like, manly, took control of the situation, and, like, showed me that he would leave.
Let me ask you this. Did you tell him, I want this, and
No.
this, and you didn't? See, that's what I'm saying. You can't, well, my point was, you can't allow a woman just to tell you, I want this, and this is what's going to make me.
You got to
like
beat her to the punch.
Yeah,
yes, that's it. But you don't have to be an asshole. But if you,
I'm not saying you be an asshole, but like if a woman says that, it's more attractive to say, really? Well, that's going to be a problem because that's not what I do. So she's got to fit into your world instead of you trying to fit into her world.
If you try to fit too hard into a woman's world, that is unattractive.
It's very unattractive.
There's nothing they like less than a try hard.
Yes.
You know, like.
But the way David did it is why I fell in love with him.
Well, yeah, but because he beat you to the punch. And
yes,
it's not,
I think Dan said it best.
Yeah.
It's beating to the punch. It's not being an asshole.
I know, but that's not what I said.
No, it just so happens that
Hollywood
usually those are traits of an
Go
asshole.
ahead, Hollywood. I see you wanting to say
Yoda
something.
wants
But he
to speak.
wasn't being a pushover by doing that. He was completely taking control and saying, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do, and if you don't like it, then see ya.
Yeah. And I thought it was hot.
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
he literally bought me the outfit to wear when he took me out to dinner that night,
yeah.
you know, and sent it to my house.
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes I always made was listening to a woman explain what she
You
likes.
should have just stopped it.
I know. I'm gonna put that
Listening
quick. One of the biggest
is-
mistakes I made is listening to a
Is
woman.
listening to a woman say what she wants and then actually trying to do it, and they will punish you for doing that, for doing what they say, because it's like they perceive he's.
Women can sense desperation and like neediness. If you're nice in a way that doesn't portray any of that, they're gonna like it.
Yeah.
They're gonna like nice. That's the line right there. That's the nirvana to a woman.
But what
like
I'm saying is
being a sexy nice guy.
I'm not saying that this is not for, when you and David, who is the love of your life, that ended up getting you. I'm talking. This is for guys that have continued to get rejected. The young generation has been told girls want nice guys and you got to be a gentleman and do this their whole life, and they can't seem to figure out what they're doing wrong. I am saying you can't listen to what a girl tells you she wants. You have to beat them to the punch. You have to have
but you said
boundaries.
when in doubt, skew asshole.
If you're gonna err on the side of being more masculine than more feminine. No, because if
Being nice isn't feminine.
once you drift off onto the feminine, like too nice side, that's when you get in the friend zone. There's no getting out of the friend zone. You can get out of the, well, I don't know. He was just like, he wasn't that nice. Like, how many times has a girl said like, but he's an asshole? That's actually one of the, if a girl says that, like, oh, that guy's an asshole.
I have another example, and this is not D. I ended up with a full-ass boyfriend of a guy I didn't like because of how he acted. This guy was too short for me. I wasn't really attracted to him. He was in my class in college. He was so assertive with me and so like, listen, I'm taking you out to dinner tonight. Here's my number. Like, I ended up with a whole-ass boyfriend because I was like,
yeah, well,
like,
assertiveness.
shocked.
Assertiveness is one
but he
of
was
the
nice, and he treated me like a princess, but he did it in a manly way.
So he knew how to walk the tightrope. What I'm saying is, if you're gonna err, it's better to err on the side of
confidence.
Well, confidence falls into the masculine character traits. What I'm saying is, if you're gonna err and you can't decide what error on the side of being overly confident or cocky, don't err
like
on
command presence.
Don't allow her ever to be able to say, oh, he is just so sweet, he's so cute, he's so not like. Error on going the other side. There's a middle that the truth is always found somewhere in the middle. But if you're going to err, you got to err on.
It is true what you said. You can come back from being called an asshole by a woman. You can't come back from being friend zoned.
No, you can't.
You can't come back from the friend
I
zone.
agree.
It's a black hole.
So if you agree that you can't come back from being in the friend zone, why would you say don't err on being overly mean or cocky, confident?
I don't. Well, because you said choose asshole, not confident. Now, yes, confident, 100%. Like, there's a thing called command presence that is everything to a woman. If you walk into a room and like you have that, like, you're holding frame, you have that command presence, that's going to go a long way.
Frame, that's an important word. You got to hold frame. And when you sit there and listen to a woman telling you what she wants and you actually do it, that's like you breaking frame. Like, no, hold frame. This is what I want. You have to do something for me first before you have to earn me doing something for you. But what I'm saying, okay, so let's say confident and being too mean is on one side of the spectrum, but being way too nice on the other side of the spectrum. Holding frame confidently and being able to be nice about it is right there in the middle. But for a lot of those men who don't know yet how to walk it perfectly down the middle, if you're uncertain about what to do, error on the side of what's too of being overly confident. Like even if the interaction is negative and she calls you a jerk or she says you're like, that's still attractive. Yeah, you're still in the game. You're still in the game. Create a positive interaction when you're with her. Like she might be like, "Oh, I like that too. Oh, yeah, like, oh, you're so nice. You're such a nice guy." But when she leaves you and it's like she's not gonna feel attracted to you, and you're not like it's
the way you carry yourself. Really, it is that whole command presence thing. Yeah. It is like you walk into a room and you like own that. And you're telling her, like, if you're leading her, you know what I mean? Even when she's not your girlfriend.
Yeah. But she's got to want you to lead her, though.
Not necessarily. I ended up with a whole ass boyfriend.
But
because he straight up led me into what he wanted. And I was like, oh my God, this short guy
his behavior was attractive. Yeah. So you perceived he had alpha male characteristics, and that attracted you. So at some point you did want him to lead you. You thought he was a leader. Nice guys, a passive, iffy about their confidence, that doesn't come off as leader characteristics to a woman.
Agreed.
When you're in the courtship phase.
I never would have given him even a tiny bit of a chance if he hadn't been like alpha male.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did things where you could have been like, wait, he's a prick. But he's so hot. Like
no, not really.
Like the only time being overly nice works is if the girl is already into you. She has to already be into you and be attracted to you for her to want you to be nice. And it's people listen to guys say stuff like that and they say it's like misogynist or people make comments about it. That's what women don't blame the men that are saying it. Blame the women that respond to it.
I think to back up what you're saying, I guess, if Dee had asked me like, oh, would you like an overnight bag? Do you want to pick one out? I would have been like, yeah. But the fact that he mailed it to me and was like, here's where you're going to pack your shit to come to my house. Here's some slippers. Yeah.
If a girl says, this is what I like, a good response, say, no, I'm going to tell you what you like. This is what you like. And she will like that because it's an attractive, you're holding frame, you're taking control, you're being a leader.
Similar to like ordering at a restaurant, like I said, like women find it attractive if you order for them, or most women, I should say, as opposed to like if a dude was like, why don't you pick out what we eat? What's so unattractive is when a guy's like, you pick the restaurant, you pick everything. Women do not want to pick the date. Like they want you to choose the entire date and they want to just show up. And I've had guys who are like, I don't know, it's just totally up to you. Like, what do you like? And I'm like, just pick a fucking restaurant. Take me there.
Why can you say that? And it's the 100% truth. But if a guy says that, like a girl just wants you to tell them what to do and show up, and you get negative comments about it. It comes off as like, oh, you're cocky or you're a misogynist.
I think that whole toxic masculinity thing has been taken way too far. And I think, like I've always said, those women just haven't met the right, like, strong man yet,
So, there's a lot of talk about what women want, and, the viewer for themselves can decide who they're going to listen to. If you're out there and you're struggling to, get that woman who you really like, you can listen to Shav or Michele and see how it works, and let us know in the comments.
Or Dan.
yeah, that's right. And let us know in the comments.
Maybe Hollywood is
or the disembodied voice of Hollywood.
Yes. I'm going to reemphasize, you can't let a fish tell you how to catch fish. You've got to ask the fisherman. Now, you can deem who the fisherman is, but
Michele, that was well said, Shav.
Michele is a fish trying to tell you how to catch fish. Why would she just put that out in the open? Just a thought.
And on that note, this was the MFM podcast. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dan.
Michele.
Shav.
See you next time.